Welcome back to page 121. Today we're going to take a look at a little something I wrote up and I used in my campaign, Character Proficiencies by Class and Race. This is an innovation I put in probably about 20 years ago and formalized on paper a little over 10 years ago and have included in my campaign for a long time now. But by proficiencies, I'm talking about non-weapon proficiencies. So if your character needs fishing, they can go to the Dungeoneer Survival Guide, the Wilderness Survival Guide, and find the skills in there. They're called out very nicely. They're listed on here. And what I have is some player character races and some the character classes that start with some non-weapon proficiencies. I just felt that it made the characters a little more lifelike. So today on page 121, non-weapon proficiencies by race and class. All right, character proficiencies. I'm going a little tighter on that. There we go. All right, so this is a listing to start of the character proficiencies, how many weapon and non-weapon characters get to start, and then how many they get as they advance. Weapon, and then, so it's got it by each character class, and then I've got a note at the bottom, this is a house rule. A weapon proficiency may be traded for a non-weapon proficiency, but a non-weapon proficiency may never be traded for a weapon proficiency. So if you want to give up learning how to wield a dagger in order to learn how to build a campfire, then we do allow that. So that's just a general chart of player character classes, what they start with proficiency-wise, and how much they gain when they gain them. Then we come down to the part that I added to this, which is base proficiencies by race. So as you see, for a dwarf, you get blacksmith, direction sense, miner, mountaineering, rope use, and stonemason. Anything that felt consistent with the character class as written, I went ahead and included. This makes more sense to me that the player characters would start out with racial proficiencies. There'd be stuff you learned just growing up. And then humans, as you see, I gave no bonus. Well, humans may get other skills and things like that, but they don't have anything intrinsic to an elf living in the woods getting direction sense, fire building, fishing, foraging, hunting, plant lore, and swimming. By the way, don't worry about pausing and reading this chart and copying things down. I'm going to post a link to this as a PDF that'll be yours to upload for free. I just went ahead and wrote this chart up. I did it in a little book, a binder that I did years ago, about 60 pages of house rules and spells called Orth's Opus Omnibus. OOO, we call it the OO. And I wrote this up years ago for all my players and for all of our use as kind of another player's handbook type thing. And then I gave everybody a copy of it. So the OO is sitting at the table in our campaign with everything else. I'll be showing some different parts of what I've written for the OO. I have no intention right now of doing anything to show the entire thing. I'm of two minds on that. My wife tells me I'm crazy, just show the whole thing. Let me know what you think. If you're interested in seeing it, maybe I will, or maybe I'll do a video showing various chunks of it. Not all of the things in the OO are my creation. This, for instance, I didn't come up with any of this. This is straight out of the rule books. I added the base proficiencies by race. So if you have any interest in seeing stuff out of Earth's Opus Omnibus by me, let me know, and I'll see what I can do. So here we have base proficiencies by class. So for a Cavalier, for instance, you get land-based riding. Paladin does the same. Cleric, I didn't give a bonus. You could do incense knowledge and things like that, but I'm going to get into that in a minute as to why I didn't. Druid gets a ton of bonuses. Animal handling, animal lore, direction sense, fire building, fishing, foraging, hunting, plant lore, survival, that's the area appropriate to the druid, swimming, tracking, and weather sense. Barbarians and rangers get a ton also. These are character classes that are heavy with non-combat proficiencies. For magic user, I gave plant lore. Illusionist, I gave plant lore. You need to know some of that stuff. I was going to do gem cutter for both of those, but gem cutter is different than somebody who knows the value of a gem. So I didn't add that in. Thieves and assassins, I just gave rope use. Monks, I didn't give a bonus, and then bards go as the parent classes. And now the proficiency table. These are how many slots each proficiency takes, the appropriate skill to use the thing. So if I need alertness, it takes one slot, and wisdom is my how I use it. Now, here, die roll modifier. There's some controversy between the Dungeoneer Survival Guide and the Wilderness Survival Guide. In for proficiencies, a lower number is better on a D20. So if I throw a D20 and I throw and my intelligence here for armor, I need 2 slots for that, and my intelligence is a 15. I need to roll a 15 or less on a D20. A -2 is a bonus. But they kind of got these mixed up between the Dungeoneer Survival Guide and the Wilderness Survival Guide. I have never made a big deal of it because honestly, I don't use those. I go against just the raw stat. If it's a more difficult thing to do, I'll give a difficulty modifier based on the thing. I won't give it based on the wisdom or the task itself, because this seems silly to me to build in something with a bonus or a negative modifier. The die roll modifiers are strictly here for completion. If people want to use them, of course, it's their right. For me, if I'm going to go to the last page and show the other stuff I have. If I'm going to use the healing skill, which is very common in our campaign, it's 2 slots, it's wisdom. -2 modifier, no, I don't give that. What's your wisdom? Your wisdom's a 13. You have the healing skill, great. Throw 13 or less on a D20. Oh, you blew the roll? Oh, well, you bandaged the wrong leg. I don't know what to tell you. You don't get any benefit for the healing skill in that case. And that is how we play it. And again, the die roll modifier, for my money, this wouldn't even be on there. I only include it to be complete. And for the most part, if the 2 skills appeared in Dungeoneer Survival Guide and Wilderness Survival Guide has more immediately useful non-weapon proficiencies. I use that as the parent. So in other words, if the die roll modifier is different between the 2 books, odds are that the die roll modifier on here is from the Wilderness Survival Guide. That being said, I didn't spend a ton of time on it. I don't use them. They're only here for you guys. If you use them, great. If not, take them out. And then I have down here, since the proficiency check is the lowest result in a D20, a negative modifier makes it easier to complete the proficiency. A positive modifier makes it harder to complete the proficiency. Pretty straightforward. Nothing really tricky there. I don't use them. So if you want to use them, great. They're on the chart. They'll be there. This will be in PDF form. I'm going to go ahead and attach a link to it so that everybody has access to this. This is nothing. I mean, it's unique to my campaign as far as I know. I instituted this, probably about 20 years ago. I formally wrote it down. I always had notes on it, handwritten notes, and I would just tell the players as they created their characters. But when I wrote up the OO, as we called it, Earth's Opus Omnibus, I went ahead and I formalized it in this format that we have right here. So this is pulled directly from my little book, my OO, and we do use it. And actually, this gets referred to quite a bit in our campaign. Non-weapon proficiencies, if you have good role players, they don't really make a power difference. I've never cared about that. And the only other thing I want to say is you're going to notice, okay, here, I have Elf Drow. Oh, you didn't get blind fighting. I did that on purpose. Not every Drow is going to have blind fighting. I also wanted to leave out some stats, some non-weapon skills, so that they had things to spend their slots on. If I give every Drow blind fighting, then nobody's going to take blind fighting. Blind fighting eats 2 slots. Of course I'm going to make them take that. You're also going to notice that I don't have things like Cooper or Baker or Miller, pun intended, that's my last name. I don't have those on here. Those are day-to-day non-weapon proficiencies. They are certainly skills. They are certainly applicable to the setting. Not anything I'm going to bog the player characters down on. You want to take a slot being a baker? Great. I'm only going to charge you 1 slot, you be a baker. You want to be a master baker? It's going to be 2. Anything like that. If you want your character identity is that you make the best meal over an open campfire that anybody's ever had, great. I'll give you a slot in cooking. And if you want to be the best of the best, I'll give you, slot, 2 slots. Give me 2 slots and I'll give you cooking, campfire, gourmet. I don't care. Whatever makes the character come to life is more important to me in that case. Cooking's never going to really be a combat decider. Although Samwise Gamgee in the movies might beg to differ with me with his frying pan. It's simply what the characters feel adds life to their characters. I'm all for that. If you have somebody who wants to be a baker or who was raised as a baker, therefore they want the baker skill, fine. They can spend slots on it and become a baker. This list is by no means exhaustive. One other quick note, if I take an elf ranger, I'll put these next to each other. Okay. Yeah, there we are. If I take an elf ranger, so an elf gets all these skills and a ranger gets these skills. If these skills duplicate, you don't gain any benefit for it. I don't give an extra die modifier or anything like that for having more skills. Again, I'm not bogging this down. The die modifier based on the skill is more of a Traveler thing, but Traveler is more of a skill-based game. So for D&D, I'm not going to give anything. If you both have direction sense as a ranger and you have it as an elf, then you have direction sense. You don't have extra levels of direction sense. That's just how I play it. That's really all I have to say about this. Please let me know how you like this. If this is something you might use in your campaign, I'd be very interested in feedback on this. This is nothing I introduced wider than our campaign. Only my players really have ever dealt with this. So I'd be interested in some feedback and what you think about it and if you'd use it in your campaign. And let me know if you want to see some other chunks of the Earth's Opus Omnibus sometime down the line. So that's it for today from page 121. If you liked what you saw, please like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.